Thursday morning, October 17th. I pulled into the country club parking lot at 10:45, early. Margaret wouldn't arrive for another 15 minutes, but I liked getting there first, settling in, watching the golf carts hum past the window, the rhythm of it. I'd been coming to this club every Thursday for 8 years. 8 years. Since Robert died and Michael said, "Mom, you need to get out of the house, see people, do something." The lobby smelled like it always did. Fresh flowers on the desk, lemon polish, that expensive perfume the front desk staff wore. I waved at Tom, the security guard. He'd worked here 12 years, knew everyone, but Tom didn't wave back. He stood up, came around the desk. "Mrs. Morrison, I need you to wait here for a moment." I stopped. "Is something wrong?" He looked uncomfortable, adjusted his glasses, wouldn't meet my eyes. "Let me get Jennifer." Jennifer ran the front desk. She appeared from the back office, clipboard in hand, professional smile but strained. "Mrs. Morrison," she said, "I'm sorry, but there's been an issue with your membership." "Issue?" I pulled out my membership card, laminated, my name in gold letters. "What kind of issue?" She glanced at Tom. He looked at the floor. "Your membership has been suspended pending review," she said. The words came out rehearsed, like she'd practiced them. "It was transferred to a family account under your son's name. The account holder requested restricted access for secondary members." The lobby tilted slightly. I gripped the edge of the desk. "Michael?" I said. "My son Michael?" She nodded. "And who requested the restriction?" Another pause. Jennifer checked her clipboard. "Your daughter-in-law, Vanessa Morrison. She presented power of attorney documentation last month." Through the glass doors behind Jennifer, I could see the dining room. Our table, corner spot by the window, view of the 18th hole. Margaret would be there in 10 minutes. Linda and Susan, too. Thursday bridge game. Same table for 6 years. But I was standing on the wrong side of the glass. "There must be a mistake," I said. My voice sounded strange, distant. "I'm the primary member. I paid for this membership." "I understand, Mrs. Morrison, but the paperwork was in order. Power of attorney gives legal authority. 8 years ago," I said. "I wrote a check for $75,000 right at that desk." I pointed to the membership office, visible through another set of glass doors. My husband Robert was with me. He said, "This is for you, Kathy. Your place." Jennifer's professional smile wavered. "I'm very sorry, but until the review is complete, I can't grant you access." Tom shifted his weight. Still wouldn't look at me. I put my membership card back in my wallet, hands shaking slightly. "Who do I speak with about the review?" "You can contact the membership committee or," she paused, "or discuss it with the account holder, your son." I stood there for a moment. The lobby that had been mine for 8 years, the marble floors Robert and I had walked across together, the dining room where I'd celebrated Christmas parties, birthday lunches, Margaret's garden club committee meetings, all of it visible through glass, close enough to see, too far to touch. "Thank you," I said. I don't know why I said it. Habit, maybe. I walked back to my car, sat in the driver's seat, didn't start the engine. My phone buzzed. Margaret. "Running V-Min late, save my seat." I stared at the text. Thursday morning, bridge game, our table by the window, and I wasn't allowed in, my own membership, $75,000, 8 years of Thursday mornings. And somehow, my son's new wife had taken it all away. I drove home, didn't call Margaret, didn't text an excuse, just drove. My house sat on Elm Street. Ranch-style, 3 bedrooms, the kind of suburban home Robert and I had bought 32 years ago when Michael was 10, back when we thought we'd fill it with grandchildren someday. Family dinners, holidays. The kitchen table was where I usually sat with my morning coffee. Robert's navy mug, chipped along the rim, faded anchor insignificant, the one he'd carried through 20 years of service. I'd kept using it after he died. Habit, comfort. Thursday mornings, I'd sit there at 7, coffee in that mug, planning my day. Bridge game at 11, lunch with Margaret after. Garden club committee meeting at 2 if it was the 3rd Thursday. But today the coffee had gone cold hours ago, untouched. I stared at my phone. 3 texts from Margaret. "Where are you? Everything okay? Catherine, I'm worried." I didn't know what to say. How do you explain that your own son locked you out of your own membership? The hallway was lined with family photos. Michael's high school graduation, cap and gown, that proud smile, his first wedding, 11 years ago, him and Jennifer under the tent at the country club, 200 guests, $50,000. I'd written that check without hesitation. It's what you do for your child's happiness. There was a newer photo, too, Michael and Vanessa's wedding, 8 months ago. Small ceremony, registry office. I'd met her twice before that, once at dinner when Michael introduced her, once at the engagement party. She'd seemed nice enough, pretty, well-dressed, but there was something in the way she asked questions. Is this house paid off? What kind of retirement accounts do you have? Did Robert have life insurance? Margaret had noticed it too. We'd been in the kitchen during the engagement party, arranging casseroles. Margaret said, "Watch that one, Catherine. She's very interested in what things cost." I'd laughed it off. She's just nervous, meeting the family. Margaret had given me that look, the nurse look, the one that said she saw something I didn't want to see. I should have listened. Over 15 years, I'd given Michael everything I could. $75,000 for that country club membership when Robert and I retired. An investment in my social life, my mental health after losing Robert. $50,000 for his first wedding, right there at the club, tent on the lawn, 200 guests, open bar. $30,000 when his startup needed emergency capital 3 years ago. Never saw that back. $18,000 for his car down payment when he and Jennifer were newlyweds and money was tight. Little things, too. Furniture from my house for their first apartment. I co-signed his mortgage when the bank said his credit wasn't quite there. Helped with Tyler's private school tuition when Jennifer went back to school. I didn't keep exact count, but if I had to guess, close to $200,000 over the years, not because he asked every time, because that's what mothers do. You help your child. You give what you can. And now his new wife had used that generosity against me. Michael was 42 now, my only child. He worked in finance. Financial advisor, ironically enough, helped other people manage their money. His first marriage to Jennifer had been good, stable. They'd divorced 3 years ago, amicably, co-parenting their son Tyler. I'd stayed close with Jennifer. She was kind, fair. We still texted occasionally. Then Michael met Vanessa. She was 38, divorced, 2 kids from her first marriage, 10 and 12, a boy and a girl. They lived with her full time. She worked in marketing, though the job seemed unstable. She mentioned once, early on, that her ex-husband had financial problems. That was all she'd said. Michael filled in the rest later. Bankruptcy, gambling debts. She'd been left with nothing. I'd felt sorry for her then. Single mother, 2 kids, starting over. Who wouldn't be anxious about money? But there was something else. The way she looked at things in my house. The china cabinet Robert's mother had left me. The silver tea service. "These must be worth something," she'd said once, running her finger along the cabinet edge. Michael had changed too. After the wedding, he became distant, wouldn't return calls for days. When we did talk, it was brief, surface level. "Everything's fine, Mom, just busy." I noticed his phone at dinner once. Text from Vanessa. "Where are you? Who are you with?" He'd checked it 3 times in 20 minutes, each time typing quick responses. "With Mom, having dinner, home soon." Like he needed permission. Tyler, my grandson, was 16 now. Good kid, smart. Looked like Robert around the eyes. He still texted me. "How are you, Grandma? Can we get lunch soon?" I always said yes. Those lunches were precious. He'd tell me about school, about his baseball team, about the college he wanted to apply to. Normal teenage stuff. I'd set up a small account for his college fund. Nothing huge, just something to help. I wondered if Vanessa knew about that too. My phone buzzed again. Garden Club group text. Linda. Bridge game starting. Where are you? Susan. Should we deal you in? I typed, not feeling well today, sorry. Sent it. Turned my phone face down on the table. The house was too quiet. I got up, walked to the living room, looked out the window at Margaret's house 3 doors down, white shutters, purple petunias in the window boxes. She'd be home from the club by now, wondering, worrying. Margaret Holloway was 70, retired nurse, widowed 8 years, longer than me. She'd moved to the neighborhood first, knocked on my door after Robert died with a tuna casserole and a direct question, "Are you eating?" We'd been friends ever since. She was sharp, observant, the kind of person who noticed things. When her own daughter had tried something similar years ago, not a country club, but financials, manipulation, papers that needed signing, urgency that didn't make sense. Margaret had said no. Her daughter hadn't spoken to her for 2 years. Some things you can't unknow about people, Margaret had told me once. I was starting to understand what she meant. I learned later, much later, that Vanessa's first marriage had ended in bankruptcy. Her ex-husband gambled away their savings while she was pregnant with their second child. Creditors calling, eviction notices. She'd had to move back in with her mother, in her 30s, with 2 kids under 5. I might have understood the fear if she'd just been honest about it, if she'd asked instead of taken. Michael had mentioned once that Vanessa saw a therapist, anxiety disorder, medication. The stress of single motherhood, he'd said. I'd thought, who wouldn't be anxious? 2 kids, messy divorce, starting over. I was sympathetic. Then. The afternoon sun slanted through the kitchen window, dust motes in the air. Robert's mug still on the table, coffee ring staining the ceramic. Thursday afternoon. I should have been at the club, committee meeting, planning the holiday party. Margaret would have brought her notebook with color-coded tabs. Linda would have argued about the menu. Susan would have rolled her eyes and ordered her usual. Chicken Caesar salad, dressing on the side. Instead, I was here, alone, locked out of the life I'd paid for. I picked up my phone, stared at Michael's name in my contacts, my son, the boy I'd raised, the man who'd helped me pick out Robert's casket, who'd held my hand at the funeral, who'd said, "Mom, you need to get out of the house, do something." And now he'd let his wife of 8 months take away the one thing that had saved me. I put the phone down. I didn't know what to do yet, but I knew one thing. This wasn't over. That night, I couldn't sleep. 3 a.m. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Robert's side still empty after 3 years. The house settling around me. Outside, wind rustled the oak tree in the front yard. I kept thinking about what Jennifer had said. Power of attorney documentation. I got up. Went to the home office, turned on the desk lamp. Robert's old filing cabinet stood in the corner. 4 drawers, alphabetical. He'd been meticulous about paperwork. After he died, I'd kept the system going. Medical files, tax returns, house documents, insurance. But there was another file, too, one I'd created 6 months ago, surgery file. I pulled it out, sat at the desk, started going through papers. 6 months ago, I'd had minor surgery, gallbladder removal, routine procedure, outpatient. Michael had brought the paperwork to the hospital the day before. "Just temporary, Mom," he'd said. "In case they need to make medical decisions while you're under anesthesia. You'll be fine, but it's standard procedure." Power of attorney, temporary, medical decisions only. That's what he'd told me. I found the document, 5 pages, legal language. I'd signed on the last page. Hadn't read the middle sections. I'd been nervous about the surgery, focused on pre-op instructions. Michael had been there with Vanessa. Rushed. "The notary's waiting, Mom. Just sign at the bottom." Now at 3 a.m, I read every word. Section 2, Financial Authority. Section 3, Property Management. Section 4, Legal Representation. This wasn't temporary medical decisions. This was everything. Bank accounts, real estate, investments, recreational memberships. My hand shook slightly holding the papers. How had I missed this? I set the POA aside, kept searching through the filing cabinet, found the original country club membership contract, pulled it out, read through it. Lifetime membership in the name of Catherine Elizabeth Morrison, non-transferable without written consent of primary member. Annual dues, $3,500. Membership privileges include my name, my membership. Non-transferable without my consent, but I'd signed that power of attorney, and apparently that was enough. I opened my laptop, checked my email. Inbox had 30 unread messages, mostly newsletters, garden club updates, a forward from Margaret about rose pruning. Then I noticed my spam folder. Little number in parentheses, 47. I never checked spam, too much junk. But something made me open it now. I scrolled through. Ads for vitamins, cruise lines, credit card offers. Then I saw it. Subject, Country Club membership transfer request, signature required. Sent 3 weeks ago from the club's membership office. I opened it. Dear Mrs. Morrison, we have received a request to transfer your lifetime membership to a family account structure. This change requires your written authorization. Please respond within 10 business days to confirm or deny this request. If we do not hear from you, we will proceed based on documentation provided by your designated representative. I stared at the screen. I'd never seen this email, never responded, never authorized anything. But someone had. Using that power of attorney, I kept scrolling through spam, found another email, 2 weeks ago. Dear Mrs. Morrison, we have received authorization via power of attorney to proceed with membership restructure. Family account processing complete. New account holder, Michael Morrison. Thank you for your continued membership. I read it twice, 3 times. They'd sent me notifications. I'd never seen them, buried in spam, and they'd gone ahead anyway. I printed both emails, added them to the growing pile on my desk. It was 4 a.m. now, but I was wide awake. I picked up my phone, called the club, got the after-hours voicemail. Office hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. I waited until 8:30. Then I called again. Country Club, this is Jennifer. Jennifer, this is Catherine Morrison. I need to speak with Jerry Patterson. Pause. Mrs. Morrison, I'm not sure it's about my membership. Please put him on. Another pause. Hold music. Soft jazz. 2 minutes. Mrs. Morrison? Jerry's voice. Uncomfortable. How can I help you? Jerry Patterson was 55, club manager for 12 years. I'd known him since he started. His daughter had been in my English class in high school, honor student, went to Northwestern. Jerry, I said, I need to understand what happened with my membership. He cleared his throat. The transfer was approved through proper channels. What channels? I didn't approve anything. Someone with power of attorney came in. Your daughter-in-law. She had the paperwork, legal documents. Your son was with her. I assumed you knew. The kitchen felt suddenly cold. When was this? 3 weeks ago, maybe 4. They came in together, had the POA, had the membership transfer forms. Everything looked legitimate. I never signed those forms, I said. The power of attorney gives her authority to sign on your behalf. For financial matters, property management, the membership falls under that category. I sat down at the kitchen table. Jerry, I signed that POA for medical decisions while I was having surgery. It was supposed to be temporary. Silence on the line. I didn't know that, he said finally. I'm sorry, Mrs. Morrison. She presented the documents. They were notarized, legal. I processed the request. And my membership? It's now structured as a family account. Primary account holder is Michael Morrison. He controls access privileges. The policy allows family account holders to manage guest privileges. Guest privileges? My voice came out sharper than I intended. I'm not a guest, Jerry. I'm the member who paid $75,000 8 years ago. I understand. But technically, Under the new structure, the primary member is your son. That's not legal, I said. The contract says non-transferable without my written consent. The power of attorney constitutes legal consent. No, I said, it doesn't. That POA was for medical decisions during surgery, not for transferring my country club membership. Jerry was quiet. Then, Mrs. Morrison, I think you should speak with an attorney. This is beyond what I can address. What about the club? Can you fix this? I'd need authorization from the current primary member, your son. My son, who'd stood right there beside Vanessa while she stole my membership, who'd signed forms, who'd nodded along. Thank you, Jerry, I said, and hung up. I sat at the kitchen table with the power of attorney papers spread in front of me, the email printouts, the original membership contract. If Vanessa had used that POA for the club, what else had she done? I needed help, real help. I opened my laptop, searched. Elder law attorney near me. 3 listings came up. I called the first one. Law offices of Susan Chen. How may I help you? I need to speak with an attorney, I said, about a power of attorney issue and possible financial abuse. Let me check Ms. Chen's availability. Can you come in this afternoon, 2 p.m.? I looked at the clock. 9:45 a.m. Yes, I said. I'll be there. Susan Chen's law office was in a converted Victorian house downtown. Purple trim, historical marker out front. Inside, it smelled like coffee and old wood. The receptionist, young woman, early 20s, smiled when I walked in. Mrs. Morrison, Ms. Chen will be right with you. Can I get you some water? Coffee. Water, please. She led me to a conference room. Windows overlooking Main Street, oak table, leather chairs, a bookshelf filled with legal texts. Susan Chen came in 5 minutes later, early 50s, sharp gray suit, hair pulled back, reading glasses hanging from a chain around her neck. She carried a yellow legal pad and a pen. Mrs. Morrison, she shook my hand. Firm grip. Susan Chen, I specialize in elder law. Please sit. There was a bowl on the credenza behind her desk, small ceramic bowl, butterscotch candies, the old-fashioned kind my grandmother used to keep. Susan noticed me looking. Help yourself, she said. I find these meetings go better with something sweet. I took one, unwrapped it. The sugar dissolved slowly on my tongue while Susan pulled out her legal pad. So, she said, tell me what's happening. I told her everything. The country club. The POA I'd signed 6 months ago, the emails I'd never seen, Jerry's phone call, the feeling that something bigger was going on. Susan took notes, didn't interrupt. When I finished, she sat back. How long have you been widowed? She asked. 3 years. And your son remarried 8 months ago? Yes. To someone he'd known for how long before that? I thought about it. Less than a year, maybe 9 months total. Susan nodded, made another note. And this power of attorney, do you have a copy? I pulled it from my purse. She read through it, all 5 pages. I watched her face, neutral, professional, but her jaw tightened slightly at page 3. This is very broad, she said finally. Financial authority, property management, legal representation, healthcare decisions. It's essentially giving someone complete control over your life. Michael said it was for surgery, temporary medical decisions. Did you read it before you signed? The question wasn't accusatory, just factual, but I felt the weight of it anyway. No, I said. I was nervous about the surgery. He brought it to the hospital the day before, said the notary was waiting. I signed at the bottom. Susan set the document down. You're not the first person to sign something without reading it, especially when it's family. You trust them. Past tense. Trusted. Can I get a copy of this? She asked. Keep that one. I made copies at home. Good. She opened a folder, pulled out a fresh legal pad. Let's build your case. First, I need to see the original country club membership contract. I handed it over. She read through it, highlighted a section with yellow marker. Lifetime membership in the name of Catherine Elizabeth Morrison. non-transferable without written consent of primary member. That's very clear. You're the primary member. The contract requires your written consent for any transfer. But the power of attorney? The power of attorney allows someone to act on your behalf for financial matters, but it doesn't override explicit contract terms requiring your personal consent. There's a difference between acting on your behalf and transferring ownership. The club should have contacted you directly. She made more notes, then looked up. I want to request copies of everything from the club. The transfer request, the documents your daughter-in-law submitted, communication records. We need to see exactly what happened. Can you do that? I can request it as your attorney. They'll provide it during discovery. But first, let me check something. She turned to her computer, typed. What's the club's name? Willowbrook Country Club. More typing. She pulled up a PDF. Here, their member handbook. Let me find the bylaws. She scrolled, stopped, read. Section 4.3. Lifetime memberships are property of the primary member and non-transferable without written consent. Family accounts require primary member approval and do not supersede primary member rights. She turned the screen toward me. I read the section twice. They violated their own policy, Susan said. Your daughter-in-law presented a power of attorney. Your son co-signed, but the club should have required your direct written consent regardless. The bylaws are clear. So I can get my membership back? Yes, but there's a bigger issue here. She leaned forward. You said you have emails from the club, the ones in your spam folder. Can you forward those to me? I pulled out my phone, found the emails, forwarded them to the address on her business card. Her computer dinged. She opened them. Read. These are important, she said. The club sent you notification. You didn't respond, but that's because you never saw them. They were in spam, and they went ahead anyway based on the power of attorney. She paused. The timing bothers me. 3 weeks ago. That's what the first email said. And you signed the POA 6 months ago. Yes. So your daughter-in-law waited 6 months, then used it for the country club. Susan tapped her pen on the legal pad. That suggests intent. This wasn't an emergency medical decision. This was planned. The room felt colder suddenly. Susan kept going. I want to see your bank statements. Every account, last 6 months. Can you get those? I can print them tonight. Do that. Bring them tomorrow if possible. I want to see if there have been any other attempts to access your accounts. Attempts? Your daughter-in-law had broad financial authority under that POA. The country club accepted it. I want to know if she tried to use it anywhere else. My hands felt cold. I set down the butterscotch candy wrapper. Susan's expression softened slightly. Mrs. Morrison, I've been practicing elder law for 20 years. I've seen this pattern before. Adult, children, or in your case, children-in-law, who gain financial control through powers of attorney. Sometimes it's innocent, sometimes it's not. The fact that she waited 6 months, then used it for something recreational rather than medical? That's a red flag. What should I do? First, we revoke this power of attorney. Immediately. I'll draft the revocation document today. You'll sign it. We'll file it. We'll notify everyone, your bank, your financial institutions, the country club. Make it clear that this POA is no longer valid. Will Michael know? Yes. We have to notify all interested parties. That includes your son. I thought about that. Michael finding out I'd revoked the POA. The call I'd get, or wouldn't get. Do it, I said. Susan nodded, made a note. Second, we file an emergency motion with the club to restore your membership. The bylaws violation is clear. They should have required your direct consent. We'll cite the contract, the bylaws, your lack of knowledge about the transfer. How long will that take? Depends on the club's responsiveness. Could be a few weeks, could be longer. But we'll push for emergency status given that you've been excluded from a facility you paid for. And third, she looked at me, direct. Kind but direct. Third, I investigate whether this constitutes elder financial abuse. In Illinois, that's a criminal offense. If your daughter-in-law used that power of attorney to access your assets without your knowledge or consent, that's abuse. Even if she didn't succeed, the attempt matters. My throat felt tight. You think she tried other things? I don't know yet. That's why I need your bank statements, credit reports, any financial documents you have. I want to see if there were other access attempts you don't know about. She stood, walked to a filing cabinet, pulled out a form. This is a client intake form, standard information. But there's a section here about financial accounts, bank accounts, investment accounts, credit cards, retirement accounts, property. Fill this out as completely as you can. I need a full picture of your assets. I took the form, looked at the list, checking account, savings, certificate of deposit, IRA, the house, Robert's pension that came to me after he died. If someone tried to access these, I said slowly, would I know? Not necessarily. If the attempt was denied, you might not get notification. Banks have different policies. Some notify account holders of any access attempt. Some don't. That's why I want to request records directly. She sat back down, looked at me across the table. Mrs. Morrison, Catherine, I need to ask you something, and I need an honest answer. I nodded. Are you safe? Do you feel threatened by your daughter-in-law or your son? Physically, no. They've never... I'm not just asking about physical safety. Financial control can be a form of abuse. Isolation from your community, like being excluded from the country club, that's a form of control. Has your son tried to prevent you from seeing other people? Friends? Your grandson? I thought about Tyler's texts, the way he said, "Dad doesn't know I'm here." My grandson and I meet for lunch, I said. He doesn't always tell his father. Susan's expression didn't change, but she made a note. One more question. Does your daughter-in-law have access to your house? Keys? I don't think so. Michael has a key, from before he married her. Change your locks, Susan said. Tomorrow. You think? I think someone who used a power of attorney to steal your country club membership might use keys to enter your house. I think someone who shows this level of financial manipulation might escalate. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to protect you. I sat there in Susan Chen's conference room, late afternoon light through the windows, sound of traffic on Main Street, the butterscotch taste still on my tongue. 20 years of being a teacher had taught me to recognize patterns, student behavior, warning signs, red flags. I'd missed them in my own life. Susan started packing up her files. I'll start drafting documents this afternoon. POA revocation, emergency motion for the club. Come back tomorrow at 2. Bring your bank statements. Any other financial records you can find. We'll go through everything. How much is this going to cost? I asked. She named her hourly rate. Retainer fee. It wasn't cheap, but it wasn't impossible either. I can pay that, I said. Good, because you're going to need representation. This isn't just about a country club membership anymore. She walked me to the door. Catherine, one more thing. When we revoke that POA, your son is going to know you've lawyered up. He's going to call. Maybe Vanessa will too. Don't engage. Don't argue. Don't try to explain. Just say, my attorney is handling this, and hang up. Can you do that? I thought about it. Michael's voice on the phone. Defensive. Angry, maybe. Yes, I said. I can do that. Susan handed me her card. Call me anytime if you see anything suspicious, if they show up at your house, if you feel unsafe. This is my cell number on the back. Use it. I drove home slowly. 5 o'clock traffic, rush hour. People heading home from work. Normal Thursday evening. Except it wasn't. I parked in my driveway, sat in the car for a moment, looked at my house. The house Robert and I had bought 32 years ago. The house I'd raised Michael in. The house that was supposed to be safe. Someone wanted to take that, too. I went inside, locked the door behind me, double-checked it. Then I went to the home office, turned on the computer, started printing bank statements. I sat in that lawyer's office looking at the papers spread across her desk. 8 years of Thursday bridge games, and my own son let this happen. But now I had Susan Chen. I had evidence. I had a plan. And I wasn't stopping until I got back what was mine. Friday morning, I met Margaret at the Main Street Diner, not the country club, neutral ground. She was already there when I arrived. Corner booth, 2 menus, coffee already poured. She'd brought Linda and Susan too, my bridge partners. The other Susan, not the attorney. Margaret stood when she saw me, pulled me into a hug. "Where have you been?" I sat down, told them everything, the club, the POA, the attorney meeting yesterday, the evidence building. Linda, 62, retired accountant, put down her coffee cup. Vanessa did this. With Michael, I said. He was there when she presented the paperwork. Susan, bridge. Susan, 70, widowed 5 years, shook her head. I never liked her. Too smooth, too interested in things that weren't her business. Margaret leaned forward. What are you going to do? My attorney's filing an emergency motion to revoke the power of attorney and restore my membership. She thinks Vanessa might have tried to access other accounts. Other accounts? Linda's accountant brain kicked in. Like what? Bank accounts, credit cards, my house. I picked up my coffee, hands steady. Susan, my attorney Susan, told me to change my locks. Good, Margaret said. Want me to come with you? To the hardware store? I'll do it this afternoon. Linda pulled out her phone, opened her notes app, started typing. I want you to freeze your credit. Right now. All 3 bureaus. Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. If Vanessa tries to open anything in your name, it'll be blocked. How do I do that? I'll walk you through it. Give me your phone. I handed it over. Linda navigated to websites, set up freezes, created passwords. 10 minutes later, my credit was locked down. There, she said. Nobody's opening credit cards in your name now. Susan, Bridge Susan, reached across the table, squeezed my hand. Catherine, we've been wondering where you were. Thursday morning. No call, no text. We thought something happened. Something did happen. We should have known, Margaret said. When I saw Vanessa at the club last week, I looked up. What? Margaret's expression shifted, uncomfortable. I didn't want to tell you, not until I knew what was going on. But last Tuesday, I was at the club for Garden Club committee meeting. I saw her, Vanessa, in the dining room, having lunch. Lunch? With 3 women I didn't recognize. She was sitting at a table near the window, laughing, playing hostess, and Michael was there too. They walked in together. The diner suddenly felt too warm. He was there, I said slowly, at the club while I was banned. Margaret nodded. I almost walked over, asked what was going on, but something stopped me. The way Vanessa was acting, like she owned the place. Linda frowned. That was Tuesday? Last Tuesday, week and a half ago. I did the math. 3 weeks since the membership was transferred. Week and a half ago, Michael and Vanessa were using the club, together, while I sat at home, locked out. Did anyone recognize her? I asked. Did anyone know she wasn't the member? Margaret hesitated. I don't think so. She was using your name, or the family name. I heard her introduce herself to someone. Mrs. Morrison. She said it twice. My name. She was using my name. Susan, Bridge Susan, looked furious. We should have done something. You didn't know, I said, but my voice sounded distant, hollow. Michael hadn't just enabled Vanessa. He'd participated, gone to the club with her, watched her play hostess at a table I'd paid for. Catherine, Margaret said quietly, what do you need? I looked at my friends, women I'd known for years. Margaret, who'd brought casserole after Robert died. Linda, who'd helped me file taxes when I didn't understand the forms. Susan, who'd listened when I cried about missing my husband. Testimony, I said. If it comes to that, the attorney might need witnesses. People who can confirm I was a regular member, that I was mentally competent, that this wasn't about me being forgetful or incapable. Of course, Linda said immediately. Absolutely, Susan added. Margaret nodded. Whatever you need, we're with you. The waitress came by, refilled our coffee, asked if we wanted to order food. We all shook our heads. After she left, Margaret said, "There's something else you should know. The Garden Club board meeting. Last week, Vanessa showed up." What? She said she wanted to get involved, be more active in the community, asked about joining committees. Margaret's jaw tightened. I told her we'd consider her application. But Catherine, she was taking your place, not just at the club, everywhere. I sat with that information, Vanessa inserting herself into my social circles, my committees, my life. She can't join the garden club, Susan said flatly, not if she's stealing from members. She hasn't joined yet, Margaret said, and now she won't. We finished our coffee, made plans to meet next week. Same diner, same booth, Thursday morning, our new routine until the club situation was resolved. I hugged each of them before leaving. Margaret held on longest. "You're going to get through this," she whispered, "and we're going to help." I drove home, took the long route, past the country club. I don't know why I did it. Maybe I needed to see it, the place that was mine, the place I'd been locked out of. The club sat back from the road, long driveway, oak trees lining the entrance, golf course visible beyond the main building. The parking lot was half full. Friday afternoon, lunch crowd, and there, third row, Michael's car, silver sedan, the one I'd helped him buy 5 years ago, down payment, co-signed the loan. He was there, right now, at the club. I pulled into the far end of the parking lot, engine running, watched the entrance. 10 minutes passed, then Michael and Vanessa walked out. Vanessa wore a cream-colored blazer, designer, expensive. She was laughing, her hand on Michael's arm. He was smiling, relaxed. They walked to his car together, easy, comfortable, like they'd done this 100 times, like I didn't exist. I watched Michael unlock the car, open the passenger door for Vanessa. She slid in, still laughing. He walked around to the driver's side, got in, started the engine. They drove past me, didn't see me sitting there, didn't look. Michael had been going to the club with Vanessa, while I was banned, while I was calling attorneys and searching through files and lying awake at 3 a.m. trying to understand how this happened. He knew. All along, he knew. I sat in that parking lot for 5 minutes after they left, watched other members walk in and out, couples, foursomes heading to the golf course. Thursday bridge game would be starting soon inside. Margaret and Linda and the other Susan, minus me. But I wasn't calling Michael to ask why. I wasn't begging him to explain. I started my car, drove straight to Susan Chen's law office. Her receptionist looked surprised. "Mrs. Morrison, do you have an appointment?" "No, but I need to see Susan. Now, please." "Let me check if she's available." 2 minutes later, Susan came out, took one look at my face. "Come on back." In her office, I sat down, hands folded in my lap, steady. "File the emergency motion," I said. "Today. All of it. Revoke the POA. Restore my membership. Investigate the financial abuse. I want it done." Susan sat across from me. "What happened?" "My son has been going to the club with Vanessa, using my membership while I've been locked out." My voice didn't shake, didn't break, just stated facts. He knew what she did. He participated. And I'm done. Susan nodded, pulled out a file folder. "I'll file today, emergency status. The court will schedule a hearing. Probably 3 weeks out, maybe sooner if we push." "Push. Okay." She made notes. "And the POA revocation. That goes out today too. Your bank, your financial institutions, the country club. Everyone gets notified that the power of attorney is void." "When will Michael find out?" "Today. Tomorrow at the latest. He'll get a copy of the revocation notice. So will Vanessa." "Good." Susan studied me. "Are you ready for this? Once we file, it becomes adversarial. Your son will push back, maybe get his own attorney." I thought about Michael in the club parking lot, Vanessa on his arm, both of them laughing, using what I'd paid for, taking what was mine. "I'm ready," I said. Susan started drafting documents on her computer. The sound of typing filled the office. Professional, efficient, she printed papers, had me sign them, notarized my signature. "This is the POA revocation," she said, handing me a copy. "Effective immediately. I'll file this with the county clerk, send copies to all relevant parties." "And the emergency motion?" "Filed electronically this afternoon. The club will be notified by Monday. They'll have to respond within 10 days. "What happens then?" "Hearing. You, me, the club's attorney, possibly your son, and his attorney if he intervenes. We present evidence. The judge decides whether to restore your membership pending full investigation." "Will I have to see Michael?" "Probably, if he intervenes in the case." I nodded. "Okay." Susan walked me to the door. "Catherine, one thing. When your son calls, and he will call, don't engage. Remember what I said. My attorney is handling this. That's all you say." "I remember." I drove home, changed the locks on my doors, all 3 exterior doors, new deadbolts, new keys. It took 2 hours and 3 trips to the hardware store, but I did it myself. The old keys, the ones Michael had, wouldn't work anymore. That felt important somehow. I raised him better than this. Or I thought I did. Either way, I'm not begging for what's already mine. By 7 that evening, Susan texted me. "Motion filed, POA revocation sent. You're officially represented." I sat at the kitchen table, Robert's Navy mug empty beside me, phone in my hand. I wondered what Michael would say when he found out I was fighting back. Would he apologize? Explain? Or would Vanessa have an answer ready for him? I'd find out soon enough. The legal machinery ground slowly forward. Week 1. Susan filed the emergency motion with the county court. POA revocation notices went out. Certified mail to Michael, Vanessa, the country club, my bank, my financial advisor. The club's attorney responded within 3 days. Standard legal language. Client denies wrongdoing. Power of attorney was properly executed and accepted in good faith. Week 2. Discovery requests. Susan asked for everything. The club's transfer documents, communication records, internal memos, email chains between Vanessa and club staff. Michael hired his own attorney, Peter Kellerman, corporate lawyer, expensive suit. He filed a motion to dismiss. Frivolous litigation, family dispute, not legal matter. Week 3. The judge denied the dismissal, set a hearing date. 6 weeks out. The club's internal investigation began, interviewing staff, reviewing procedures, checking bylaws compliance. Weeks 4 and 5, depositions scheduled. Susan deposed Jerry Patterson, the club manager. I sat in on that one via video, watched Jerry squirm through 2 hours of questions. "Did you contact Mrs. Morrison directly before processing the transfer?" "No." "Did you verify the scope of the power of attorney?" No. "Did you check club bylaws regarding non-transferable memberships?" Long pause. "No." Week 6, mediation attempt. Failed in 20 minutes. Vanessa's attorney demanded Catherine pay all legal fees and drop the case. Susan said no. Sunday morning. 6 weeks into the legal battle. I made scrambled eggs at my kitchen counter, stood eating them, plate in hand, looking out at the garden. Weeds growing in the flower beds. I hadn't had energy for gardening. Too many attorney meetings, too many phone calls, too many nights going through financial records. The house was too quiet without a routine. I used to have Sunday brunch at the club, buffet table, mimosas, corner table by the window. Margaret and I would sit there for 2 hours, planning garden club events, gossiping about committee drama. Normal. Now I ate scrambled eggs alone while NPR played traffic reports for a city I wasn't driving through. My phone rang. Michael's number. I stared at it. 4 rings. 5. Thought about Susan's advice. "Don't engage," I answered. "Hello? Mom?" Michael's voice strained. "We need to talk. My attorney is handling this." Mom, please, just listen. I talked to Vanessa. We can work this out. No lawyers, no hearing. I set down my plate. What are you proposing? You can come back to the club as our guest. We'll add you to the family account. Full privileges. We'll even cover the annual dues. You won't have to pay anything. I already paid, I said. $75,000, 8 years ago. I know, but this way there's no legal fees. No fighting. We can move forward as a family. Michael, I'm not a guest at a club I paid for. His tone shifted. Defensive. Vanessa was just trying to help manage things. You're getting older, Mom. We thought a family account structure made more sense. Easier to handle if you... If I what? Became incompetent? Forgot my own membership? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Silence. Michael, I'm 68, not 88. I manage my own finances. I pay my own bills. I make my own decisions. And I didn't need Vanessa's help. She was trying to take what's mine, and you helped her. My voice stayed level, calm, but the words were clear. You were there when she presented the paperwork. You've been going to the club with her while I was locked out. Don't pretend this was about helping me. Another silence. Then, this is why Vanessa thought... I hung up. My hands were steady. No shaking, no tears. Just done. The phone didn't ring again. 3 days later, the club called. Jerry Patterson. Again, uncomfortable. Again. Mrs. Morrison, the board has reviewed your case. We'd like to offer a resolution. I'm listening. We're willing to reinstate your membership, full privileges, your name as primary member. Relief flooded through me. When can I... There's a transfer restoration fee, $15,000. It covers administrative costs and legal review. Once that's paid, your membership will be fully restored. The relief evaporated. $15,000. It's club policy when memberships are disputed. The board discussed it and I put him on speaker, called Susan Chen's office, got her on the line. Jerry, Susan said, her voice cold. This is Susan Chen, Mrs. Morrison's attorney. Are you seriously trying to charge my client $15,000 to fix a mistake your club made? It's not a mistake. It's a disputed transfer and Mrs. Morrison's membership never legally transferred. She didn't provide written consent. Your club violated its own bylaws, and now you want her to pay for your error? The board felt, tell your board we'll see them at the hearing. With our legal fees claim, Mrs. Morrison is entitled to compensation for the damages your club caused, not the other way around. Jerry's voice got smaller. I'm just relaying the board's decision. Relay this back, Susan said. If Mrs. Morrison pays $1 of that fee, we're adding extortion to our complaint. Are we clear? Silence. Then, I'll tell the board. You do that. Susan hung up. I sat there with my phone still on speaker, the dial tone humming. Jerry had called that a resolution, charging me $15,000 to undo something I never authorized in the first place. Margaret brought a casserole that evening, tuna noodle, classic, aluminum foil covering the dish. You need to eat, she said, pushing past me into the kitchen. My refrigerator already had 2 other casseroles, garden club members, Linda's chicken and rice, Susan's beef stew, physical proof of care when words failed. I'm fine, I said. Margaret gave me the look, the nurse look, the one that saw through everything. No, you're not, but you will be. She pulled out plates, dished out the casserole. We ate at my kitchen table, not the club dining room, not the corner table with the golf course view, just my kitchen. Quiet. I heard about Michael's call, Margaret said. How did you... Linda ran into Jennifer at the grocery store. Jennifer said Tyler told her. Family grapevine. Jennifer, Michael's first wife. Tyler's mother. I hadn't talked to her in weeks. What else did Tyler say? Margaret hesitated. He's angry at his father. Doesn't understand why Michael's doing this. My grandson, 16 years old, caught in the middle. I need to call him, I said. He texted you this afternoon. Check your phone. I pulled it out. Saw the message I'd missed. Grandma, what's going on? Dad says you're suing him? I typed back, can we meet lunch tomorrow? 3 dots appeared. Then, Dad doesn't know I'm texting you. Can we meet after school? 3:30? Yes. Where? The diner on Main Street? I'll be there. Margaret watched me text. Good. He needs to hear your side. There shouldn't be sides. He's my grandson. But there are. Margaret's voice was gentle, and Tyler's old enough to understand that. After she left, I sat in the living room, looked out at her house 3 doors down, white shutters, purple petunias in the window boxes, the same view I'd had for 6 years. I'd known her since Robert died, since the day she knocked on my door with a casserole and asked if I was eating. We'd had coffee together every week since then. Garden club meetings, bridge games, committee planning. She'd known something was wrong with Vanessa from the start, tried to warn me, and I'd ignored it. Some things you can't unknow about people, she'd said. I understood now. Thursday evening, Susan called. Discovery came through. I found something. What? 3 months ago, your daughter-in-law tried to list your house for sale. The room tilted. What? Real estate listing agreement. She used the same power of attorney, contacted a realtor, got a property assessment. Your house is worth about $450,000. She tried to sell my house? The realtor was ethical, required an in-person meeting with you before listing. When you didn't show up, because you didn't know about it, he declined to proceed. I sat down. My house. The house Robert and I had bought 32 years ago, where I'd raised Michael, where I'd lived my entire married life. Did Michael know? My voice came out flat. I don't have evidence of that yet. The documents only show Vanessa's signature. But Catherine, this changes the case. This isn't just about a country club membership anymore. This is attempted property theft. What do? We add it to the complaint, and I recommend filing a police report. This could be criminal elder financial abuse. Police? Attempting to sell someone's house without their knowledge using fraudulent authority? That's a crime in Illinois. I thought about Vanessa. Anxious, desperate for financial security, 2 kids to support, bankruptcy in her past. I understood fear. I understood desperation. But I didn't understand this. File the report, I said. Are you sure? Once we involve law enforcement, I'm sure. Susan was quiet for a moment. Okay, I'll contact the police tomorrow. They'll want to interview you, get a statement. After we hung up, I sat at the kitchen table. Night outside, the oak tree in the front yard rustling in the wind, my house around me, safe, still mine, for now. But Vanessa had tried to take that too. I thought about the night before my surgery, 6 months ago, Michael and Vanessa at the hospital, the power of attorney papers. Just sign at the bottom, Mom. The notary's waiting. She'd been planning this. Even then, not helping, taking. Friday morning, Susan texted, hearing scheduled 3 weeks, Thursday, November 14th, 10 a.m. Be ready. I texted back, I'm ready. Thursday morning, the day I used to spend at the country club, bridge game, lunch with Margaret, garden committee meeting. Now it meant standing in a courtroom, fighting for what was already mine. I looked at the calendar on my wall. 3 weeks, 21 days, and then I'd face them. Michael, Vanessa, the club, all of them together. I didn't know what would happen, didn't know if I'd win, didn't know if my son would ever speak to me again. But I knew one thing. I wasn't backing down. Thursday, November 14th. 10 in the morning. Susan Chen's conference room, not a courtroom. The hearing was mediation, not trial, but it felt formal enough. Large oak table, windows overlooking downtown, leather chairs, a court reporter in the corner, fingers poised over her stenography machine. I arrived 15 minutes early. Susan was already there, gray suit, reading glasses, yellow legal pad covered in notes. She'd prepared for this like a trial. "Ready?" she asked. "Yes." She pulled out a folder. Inside, everything. The power of attorney, the membership contract, bank statements, emails, club bylaws, property assessment for my house, 8 weeks of evidence organized and tabbed. "Remember," Susan said, "let me do most of the talking. If they ask you direct questions, answer clearly and briefly. Don't get emotional. Don't engage with Vanessa if she tries to provoke you." "I won't. And if Michael tries to—" "I know." The door opened. Michael walked in first. Blue suit, tie. He looked tired, thinner than I remembered. He didn't meet my eyes. Behind him, Vanessa. Cream-colored dress, professional, hair pulled back. She looked at me once, cold, assessing. Their attorney followed. Peter Kellerman, 60-something. Expensive suit, leather briefcase. He nodded at Susan. Professional courtesy. No warmth. Last came Jerry Patterson, the club manager, and a woman I didn't recognize. Patricia Chen. No relation to Susan, apparently. The club's attorney. Everyone sat. Michael and Vanessa on one side of the table. Their attorney between them. Jerry and the club's attorney across from them. Susan and me at the head of the table. The court reporter adjusted her machine. "Please state your names for the record." We went around the table. Names, roles, relationships. When it came to Michael, he said, "Michael Morrison, defendant," and "her son." He gestured vaguely toward me. Couldn't even say, "my mother." Susan opened her folder. "Let's begin. Mrs. Morrison is here to resolve the improper transfer of her country club membership and the misuse of power of attorney by her daughter-in-law, Vanessa Morrison, with the complicity of her son, Michael Morrison." Peter, Michael's attorney, shifted. "Alleged misuse. My client acted within the scope of legally executed documentation." "Then let's review that documentation." Susan pulled out the first exhibit, slid copies across the table to everyone. "This is the power of attorney signed by Mrs. Morrison 6 months ago, the day before minor surgery, gallbladder removal, outpatient procedure, recovery time, 2 weeks." She let that sit for a moment. "The document gives broad financial authority, property management, legal representation, far exceeding what would be necessary for temporary medical decisions during a routine surgery." Susan looked at Vanessa. "Who brought this document to the hospital?" Vanessa glanced at her attorney. He nodded. "I did," Vanessa said, "with Michael. We thought it was prudent." "You thought it was prudent to have Mrs. Morrison sign away complete financial control the day before surgery, when she was nervous, distracted, focused on pre-operative instructions. She signed voluntarily. Did she read it?" Silence. Susan pulled out another document. "This is Mrs. Morrison's country club membership contract, dated August 2016, lifetime membership, primary member Catherine Morrison, payment $75,000. The contract states clearly, Section 3.2, non-transferable without written consent of primary member." She slid that across the table too. "Now this," Susan pulled out a third document, "is the transfer request submitted by Vanessa Morrison 3 weeks after the POA was signed, 5.5 months later, not during surgery, not during recovery, 5 months after the medical need had passed." Patricia, the club's attorney, frowned, looked at Jerry. He shifted uncomfortably. Susan continued. "The transfer was processed without direct contact with Mrs. Morrison, without verification that she consented to this specific action, and in violation of the club's own bylaws." She produced the member handbook. Section 4.3, lifetime memberships are property of the primary member and non-transferable without written consent. Family accounts require primary member approval and do not supersede primary member rights. Patricia leaned forward, read the bylaw section. Her expression tightened. "The club sent notification emails," she said, "to Mrs. Morrison's address. She didn't respond. The emails went to spam," Susan said. "Mrs. Morrison never saw them, and the club proceeded anyway based solely on a power of attorney that doesn't override explicit contract terms requiring personal consent." Jerry spoke up. Voice quiet. We should have contacted Mrs. Morrison directly. I realize that now. Patricia shot him a look. He went quiet again. Susan pulled out more documents, bank statements, credit reports, property assessment. But the country club isn't the only issue. Using that same power of attorney, Vanessa Morrison attempted to access Mrs. Morrison's bank accounts. Susan slid the bank notification across. Declined by the bank due to insufficient authorization, she attempted to open credit cards in Mrs. Morrison's name. Credit Bureau alert. Declined. She requested a change of address to redirect Mrs. Morrison's mail to her own home. Post office rejection notice. Declined due to lack of in-person verification. Peter, Michael's attorney, straightened. These were denied because the systems worked, but the attempts were made. Susan pulled out the final document. And 3 months ago, Vanessa Morrison contacted a real estate agent to list Mrs. Morrison's house for sale. Property value, $450,000. She slid the listing agreement across. I watched Michael's face. He went pale. "Michael," Vanessa whispered, You told me it was just an assessment," he said. Voice low, strained. "For estate planning. You didn't say you tried to sell it." You tried to sell my mother's house?" The room went silent. Peter touched Michael's arm. "Don't say anything else." But Michael pulled away, looked at me for the first time since entering the room. "Mom, I didn't know about the house. I swear." Susan's voice cut through. "But you did know about the country club." Michael closed his eyes. "You were present when Vanessa submitted the transfer paperwork," Susan continued. "You co-signed the family account application. And you've been using the club with Vanessa for the past 2 months while your mother was excluded." "Vanessa said it was easier," Michael said, quiet, defeated. "She said Mom was getting older, that a family account made more sense, that Mom would understand." "Did you ask your mother?" No." "Did you tell your mother?" "Vanessa said she would handle it." Vanessa's face flushed. "Michael!" "You said Mom agreed," Michael said, turning to her. "You said you talked to her, that she thought it was a good idea." "I was going to talk to her." "You lied." Susan let that sit. Then, "We have witness testimony. Margaret Holloway, Mrs. Morrison's friend and neighbor. She's appearing via video." The screen on the wall flickered. Margaret's face appeared. She sat in her living room, purple petunias visible through the window behind her. She dressed for this. Professional. Serious. Susan spoke first. "Mrs. Holloway, how long have you known Catherine Morrison?" 6 years. She moved to the neighborhood after her husband died. I brought her a casserole. We've been friends ever since." "And you're a member of the country club?" "Yes, for 8 years. Same as Catherine." "Can you describe Mrs. Morrison's involvement with the club?" Margaret looked directly at the camera. "Catherine and I have lunch every Thursday at the club. We've had the same table for 6 years. Corner spot by the window. We play bridge after. Garden club committee meetings on 3rd Thursdays. Catherine manages the budget, $5,000 annually. Never a discrepancy. Never a missed meeting. She's sharp as a tack." Susan nodded. "Did you observe any signs of diminished mental capacity? Forgetfulness? Confusion?" "None. Catherine remembers everyone's names, their grandchildren's names, health issues. She's organized, reliable. This wasn't about her capacity. This was about control." "Did you have any interactions with Vanessa Morrison regarding the club?" Margaret's jaw tightened. "Yes, I saw her at the club the week after Catherine was banned, having lunch in the dining room, with Michael, acting like she was the member. I heard her introduce herself to someone. 'Mrs. Morrison,' she said, using Catherine's name, Catherine's membership, Catherine's table." "Thank you, Mrs. Holloway." Margaret's screen went dark. Next, Susan called Jerry Patterson. He sat at the far end of the table, looked miserable. "Mr. Patterson," Susan said. "You're the club manager. You process the membership transfer." "Yes." "Did you contact Mrs. Morrison directly before approving the transfer?" "No. The power of attorney seemed sufficient." "Did you verify with Mrs. Morrison that she consented to this specific action?" "No." "Did you review club bylaws regarding non-transferable lifetime memberships?" Long pause. "No, I relied on the legal documentation presented." "Who presented that documentation?" "Vanessa Morrison and Michael. They came in together." "Did Vanessa explicitly state that Mrs. Morrison had consented to the transfer?" Jerry looked uncomfortable. "She said Catherine wanted to simplify things, make it easier to manage, that Catherine was getting older and thought a family account made sense." "Did you ask to speak with Mrs. Morrison?" No. I assumed the power of attorney covered it." Susan pulled out one more document. "You also received notification emails sent to Mrs. Morrison's address. She never responded. Did you attempt to contact her directly after she didn't respond?" "No." "Why not?" I should have. But Vanessa called. Said Catherine was having computer problems, that she'd spoken with her mother-in-law and Catherine was fine with everything." "But you never verified that with Catherine herself." "No." Susan sat back. 3 other club members submitted written statements confirming Mrs. Morrison's regular attendance and mental capacity. I'll enter those into the record. Patricia, the club's attorney, whispered something to Jerry. He nodded. Susan turned to me. "Mrs. Morrison, would you like to say anything?" I looked across the table. At Michael, at Vanessa, at the attorneys and the club manager and the court reporter recording every word. Then I spoke, measured, calm, but clear. "Michael, when your father died 3 years ago, you were there. You helped me pick out his casket. You gave the eulogy. You held my hand at the funeral. 2 months later, you said, 'Mom, you need to get out of the house, see people, do something.' So I joined the garden club. I went back to the country club, the place your father and I loved. It saved me. Those Thursday bridge games with Margaret and Linda and Susan, Sunday brunch watching the golfers, the Christmas party where I won the raffle and gave the prize to the coat check girl. That was my life. It wasn't much, but it was mine." My voice didn't waver, didn't break. "And you let her take it. You didn't even ask me first. You just let her." Michael's eyes were wet. He looked at his hands. "I know you are," I said quietly, "but it doesn't change anything." Vanessa started to speak. Her attorney put a hand on her arm. She went quiet. Patricia, the club's attorney, spoke. "Mrs. Morrison, on behalf of Willowbrook Country Club, I apologize. The transfer should never have been processed without direct contact with you. We violated our own policies, and for that, we're sorry." She pulled out a document. "Effective immediately, your lifetime membership is restored. Full privileges. Primary member status confirmed under your name only. The family account established under your son's name is hereby canceled." "And the fees?" Susan asked. "No restoration fee, no penalties, and we'll waive Mrs. Morrison's annual dues for the next 2 years as compensation for the error and distress caused." Susan nodded, looked at Peter. "And the power of attorney?" Peter pulled out papers. "My client agrees to formal revocation, effective immediately." He slid the document to Michael. "Sign." Michael signed, hands shaking slightly. Susan pulled out her own document. I signed. The notary, someone from Susan's office who'd been waiting outside, came in, notarized both signatures. "The power of attorney is revoked," Susan said. "Mrs. Morrison will execute a new, narrow medical-only POA with appropriate oversight. Vanessa Morrison will have no role in Mrs. Morrison's financial or legal affairs." Peter nodded. "Agreed." "And regarding the house," Susan's voice hardened, "Mrs. Morrison is within her rights to press criminal charges for attempted fraud. However, in the interest of family resolution, she's willing to forgo that on one condition." Everyone looked at me. "No contact," I said. Vanessa doesn't call me, doesn't come to my house, doesn't attend family events I'm at. If I'm at a holiday dinner with Tyler, she's not there. Boundaries clear. Vanessa's face flushed red. You can't— Yes, she can, Peter said. And honestly, Vanessa, you should take it. The alternative is a police investigation. Vanessa looked at Michael. He looked away. Fine, she said, voice tight. Patricia gathered her papers. The club will provide written confirmation of membership restoration. You'll receive your new membership card within a week, Mrs. Morrison. Everyone stood, shook hands, professional, cold. Michael lingered. Mom, not now, I said. Please, can we talk? I looked at him. My son, the boy I'd raised, the man who'd stood beside his wife while she tried to steal everything from me. Maybe someday, I said, but not today. He nodded, walked out with Vanessa. She didn't look back. Jerry approached. Mrs. Morrison, I truly am sorry. I should have called you. Yes, I said, you should have. He left. Susan and I packed up the evidence folders. The court reporter finished her transcription, left a copy for the record. We walked out together, down the stairs, into the parking lot. November afternoon, gray sky, cold wind. When we left that conference room, I didn't feel victorious. I felt tired and sad because I'd gotten my membership back, but I'd lost my son. Susan walked me to my car. You did well in there. Did I? You got everything you asked for. Membership restored, POA revoked, boundaries established. The club admitted fault. But Michael made his choice. A long time ago. Today just made it official. I unlocked my car, sat in the driver's seat. Susan leaned against the door. What happens now? I asked. You go back to your life. Thursday bridge games, garden club, your friends, on your terms. And if Michael calls? That's up to you. But Catherine, you set boundaries today. Stick to them. You deserve people in your life who respect you, not people who steal from you. She closed my car door. I watched her walk to her own car, professional, efficient. She'd fought for me when my own son wouldn't. I drove home slowly. Afternoon traffic. People heading home from work. Normal Thursday. The legal battle was over, but the real work, rebuilding my life, figuring out what came next, that was just beginning. The first Thursday back at the club felt strange. I pulled into the parking lot at 10:45, same time as always, but my hands were tight on the steering wheel, nervous, which was ridiculous. I'd owned this membership for 8 years, fought for it in mediation, won. But walking through those doors still felt like a test. Margaret was waiting in the lobby. She stood when she saw me, didn't say anything, just linked her arm through mine. Ready? She asked. I think so. We walked in together, through the main entrance, past the front desk where Jennifer worked. She smiled, genuine this time. Welcome back, Mrs. Morrison. The dining room opened before us, corner table by the window, our spot. Linda was already there, and Susan, Bridge Susan. They waved. I sat down in my usual chair. The leather felt familiar, worn in the right places. The view through the window showed the 18th hole. Golfers in the distance. November afternoon light. Margaret squeezed my hand under the table. You did it. We did it, I said. Linda pulled out cards, started shuffling. So, are we playing bridge or are we going to sit here being emotional? We played bridge. 3 hours. Normal. Easy. The rhythm I'd been missing for 3 months. After the game, the garden club held a small gathering. Coffee and pastries in the meeting room. No speeches. No formal welcome back. Just presence. 10 women, all between 60 and 75. Margaret presented a plant. Purple petunias in a ceramic pot. For your front porch. Thank you, I said, and meant it. That first Thursday back wasn't triumphant. It was quiet, but it was mine again. 3 days later, I ran into Michael at the grocery store. Frozen food aisle. We both reached for the same ice cream brand, Rocky Road. his favorite since childhood. Mom. I stepped back. Michael. Awkward silence. Other shoppers passing by. Normal Sunday afternoon. Nothing normal about this. How are you? He asked. Fine. Good, that's good. He shifted the shopping basket in his hand. Vanessa's stressed about money. The legal fees were, that's not my problem anymore, Michael. He nodded, looked at his shoes. Yeah, I know. We stood there, 5 feet apart. My son, the boy I'd raised, the man who'd let his wife steal from me. I should go, I said. Mom, wait, I'm sorry for all of it. I should have asked you, should have verified what Vanessa told me. I thought I was helping. You thought you were helping her. He flinched, but didn't argue. I picked up a different ice cream flavor, mint chocolate chip, put it in my cart. Maybe someday we can talk, really talk, but not today. I walked away, finished my shopping. In the car afterward, I sat for a moment, hands on the steering wheel. I felt nothing, not anger, not sadness, just done. The relationship had become a stranger, polite, distant, maybe forever. 2 weeks after the mediation, Tyler texted, "Can we meet, not at Dad's house?" We met at the I Am Main Street Diner, 3:30 on a Tuesday after school. He was wearing his baseball team jacket, looked more like Robert every day. Grandma. He hugged me, tight, longer than usual. We sat in the corner booth, ordered coffee. He was 16 but drank it black like an adult now. Dad doesn't know I'm here, Tyler said. I figured. He's been weird since the hearing. Vanessa's mad at him. They're fighting a lot. About money. I'm sorry you're caught in the middle of this. It's not your fault. Tyler's jaw set, stubborn, like his grandfather. Dad messed up. I get that. Vanessa was using him, using all of us. Your dad made choices. Vanessa made it easier, but he chose. That's messed up, Grandma. Yes, it is. He stirred his coffee. Can I still see you? Like this? Without telling him? I reached across the table, squeezed his hand. Tyler, you're 16, old enough to decide your own relationships. I'll always be here for you, always, no matter what happens with your father. Relief washed over his face. Thanks, Grandma. How's baseball? Season starting soon? Spring tryouts are in February. I'm hoping to make varsity this year. We talked for an hour. Normal things. School, baseball, college plans, his girlfriend, teenage life. The way it should be. When I left, I hugged him again. I love you, Tyler. Love you too, Grandma. One relationship saved from the wreckage. The one that mattered most. That same week, I met with Susan Chen, final estate planning updates. I want to make some changes, I said. The will, the accounts. She pulled out forms. What are you thinking? Tyler gets a direct bequest, $50,000 for college, set up as a trust so Michael can't access it. The country club lifetime membership. If Tyler wants it when he turns 25, it transfers to him, not Michael. Tyler. Susan made notes. And your son? He still inherits. The house, remaining assets, but through a trust, managed by the bank. He gets distributions, not lump sums. That protects him from Vanessa. Yes, you're being more generous than most would be. I thought about that. He's still my son. I'm just not naive anymore. Susan drafted the documents. I signed them, filed them. Everything legally protected now. Peace of mind. Vanessa couldn't touch anything else, ever. Late afternoon, I worked in my garden, deadheading roses, volunteer work for the club's garden committee, new purpose, something to do with my hands while my mind processed everything that had happened. I filled a bucket with wilted petals, carried it to the compost. From the garden, I could see the club's back lawn, members walking to the parking lot. Thursday evening. Bridge game just ended. I spotted Michael's car in the lot. He was here, with Vanessa probably. They still came to the club, using his membership now, the one in his name. I didn't feel angry, didn't feel hurt, just detached. Not my problem anymore. I kept working, pruning dead blooms, making space for new growth. The metaphor wasn't lost on me. By the time I finished, the sun was setting. November twilight, cold but clear. I packed up my tools, drove home. The house was quiet, but it was mine, secure, protected. Margaret had the new power of attorney paperwork, backup agent, attorney oversight required for any financial decisions. My bank accounts had alerts set up, credit frozen at all 3 bureaus, will updated with trustee oversight. Nobody was taking anything from me again. 6 months later. Thursday morning. May. I pulled into the country club parking lot at 10:45. The oak trees were full now, green canopy over the entrance, spring replacing winter. Margaret was already inside, waiting at our table. Corner spot by the window, view of the 18th hole, the table that had always been ours. "Morning," she said when I sat down. "Morning." Linda and Susan arrived 5 minutes later. Bridge Susan, not Attorney Susan, though I still saw Attorney Susan occasionally. Estate planning updates, legal check-ins. She'd become more than just my lawyer, a friend. We played bridge for 2 hours, talked about garden club business, the spring flower show, committee assignments. Margaret was organizing the rose competition again. I'd volunteered to judge. Normal, easy, the rhythm I'd fought for. After the game, we had lunch, chicken Caesar salad, dressing on the side. Same order for 6 months straight now. I'd learned I liked routine, predictability. After everything that had happened, there was comfort in knowing what came next. "Did you hear about Patricia Chen?" Linda asked. Patricia, the club's attorney from the mediation. What about her? She rewrote the club's entire membership policy, new protocols. Any POA-related request requires direct member contact now, in person or by phone, verified, before anything processes. "Good," I said. "She cited your case specifically in the policy manual," Linda continued, "as an example of what not to do." I took a sip of iced tea. I hope it helps someone else. That afternoon, a woman approached me in the parking lot. Older, mid-70s maybe. I didn't know her well. Mary something. Garden club member. Quiet. "Mrs. Morrison," she said, "can I ask you something?" "Of course. I heard what happened with your membership and your daughter-in-law." She hesitated. "My son-in-law has been asking me to sign papers, financial papers. He says it's for estate planning, but something feels off." I looked at her. Saw myself 6 months ago, trusting, uncertain, not wanting to believe family would hurt her. "Have you read the papers?" I asked. "Not fully. He says it's complicated, legal language." "Don't sign anything you haven't read completely, and if you have questions, call a lawyer first. Not your son-in-law, a lawyer who works for you." Mary nodded. "Do you have someone you'd recommend?" I pulled out my phone, found Susan Chen's contact. "Here, tell her I referred you." Mary took the number. "Thank you." "And Mary, trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is." She squeezed my hand, walked away. I stood there in the parking lot for a moment, thinking about how many other women might be in similar situations, signing papers they didn't understand, trusting family members who didn't deserve it, losing what they'd worked for. I couldn't fix all of it, but I could help when asked, one referral at a time, one conversation at a time. That evening, Tyler came over for dinner. He did that now, every other week, brought his homework, used my kitchen table to study. We'd eat together, talk, normal grandmother-grandson time. "How's baseball?" I asked. "Made varsity, starting pitcher for 3 games this season." "That's wonderful." Dad came to 1 game, sat in the bleachers, didn't talk to me after, just watched, then left. I set down my fork. "How do you feel about that?" Tyler shrugged. Tried to look casual, 16-year-old bravado. "It's weird. He's my dad, but it's like we don't know how to talk anymore." "You're allowed to be sad about that." "Are you sad about Dad?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. Some days, I miss who he used to be, or who I thought he was, but I don't miss being invisible. I don't miss being taken advantage of. Do you think you'll ever talk to him again? Like really talk? Maybe, someday, if he's ready to be honest about what happened, not make excuses, just honest. And Vanessa? No. Simple, clear. That boundary stays. Tyler nodded. Understood. He'd set some boundaries of his own, saw his father, didn't see Vanessa, made his own choices about who deserved his time. After dinner, he left for baseball practice. I cleaned up the kitchen, put away dishes, looked out at the garden through the window. The roses were blooming. Margaret and I had planted new ones last month. Volunteer project for the club. Hybrid tea roses, pink and yellow. They'd bloom all summer. Some things you planted came back, grew stronger, became beautiful. Some things you had to cut away. I thought about the past year, the shock of being locked out, the investigation, the legal battle, the mediation, the aftermath. I'd gotten my membership back, my independence, my boundaries, my life on my terms. But I'd lost my son. Or the version of him I'd thought I knew. That loss still hurt. Probably always would. You don't stop loving your child just because they hurt you. You just love them differently, from a distance, with clearer eyes. Margaret texted, "Coffee tomorrow? My place? 9 a.m.? I texted back, "See you then." Thursday mornings used to be about the country club. Now they were about choice. Some Thursdays, I went to the club. Some Thursdays, I had coffee with Margaret. Some Thursdays, I worked in the garden or met Tyler for lunch or simply sat in my kitchen with Robert's navy mug and the newspaper. The difference was, it was my choice, my schedule, my life. Nobody was taking that away again. Friday morning, I drove past the country club. Didn't stop. Just drove by. The parking lot was full, members coming and going. Michael's car wasn't there. I didn't look for it anymore. I kept driving. Toward Main Street, the diner where Tyler and I met sometimes, the hardware store where I'd bought new locks, the lawyer's office where Susan had fought for me, my town, my life, rebuilt piece by piece. Some days I missed who my son used to be. But I didn't miss being powerless. I didn't miss signing papers. I didn't read. I didn't miss trusting without verifying. Some lessons cost more than others. This one cost $75,000, 8 weeks of legal battles, and my relationship with my son. But what I got back was worth more than all of it. Myself, my agency, my life. I pulled into Margaret's driveway at 9. She was waiting on the front porch, purple petunias in the window boxes, coffee already brewed. "Ready?" she asked. "Always," I said. We sat on her porch, watched the neighborhood wake up, talked about nothing important, everything important. This was my life now, rebuilt, smaller maybe, quieter, but mine. And nobody, not Michael, not Vanessa, not anyone, was taking it away. Finally.